You're listening to Beyond the List, the podcast dedicated to high school coaches who work their tails off every day. This episode is proudly sponsored by All American Specialties, based in Buford, Georgia, a trusted brand since 1972 for custom branded apparel, promotional gear, awards, and spirit wear, designed to unite teams and communities. Scott McIntyre and his team at All American Specialties deliver quality craftsmanship and personalized service. Everything from awards to signs and banners to apparel and other promotional products. Whether you're rewarding your MVP or outfitting your entire roster, they've got options that fit every budget and boost team pride. Reach out to Scott McIntyre and his team at All American Specialties to see how they can help you out this season. Now, stay tuned in for this week's episode of Beyond the List.
Here we go.
Do it.
Welcome back. This is Billy with Coach Dooley's List. And again, if you are enjoying these coaching interviews, please like and subscribe to the YouTube page and also follow us on all of our social media platforms. Today, I'm here at Hardaway High School with Dr. Charles Flowers. And Coach, it is an honor. I do appreciate you taking the time to meet with us.
I appreciate you making the drive down from the Atlanta area to Columbus, Georgia. And I'm thoroughly enjoying it so far.
Well, like I said, we'll get it right this time.
Absolutely.
So, Coach, just tell everybody a little bit about your coaching journey.
Well, my coaching journey began years ago as a young coach at West Point High School. I was the head football coach there and head baseball coach there for 3 years. The school consolidated with Troup County High School. And from there, I journeyed to Shaw High School, where I was there for 18 years. 18 years, out of those 18 years, I was the head baseball coach for all those years. And I was the head football coach for 13 of those years. I left there and journeyed to South Georgia, to Dougherty Comprehensive High School in Albany, Georgia for 3 years. But prior to that, I went to the district office as a district athletic director's job. Found very quickly that I wanted to get back into coaching. It would not have been right to take a coaching job in town from some of the guys that I had hired. So I went to Albany for 3 years. And I came back and finished up my career at Troup County High School in LaGrange, Georgia, my alma mater.
Awesome. And going back home is always good. I started off, and actually when I started off coaching was at Collins Hill. And in 1997, I think, we came down and played you. I was with Coach Bob Warman, and he was from Columbus.
Yes.
And so we set it up. We came down and played Shaw and Jordan. And that was a fun trip. I remember some good baseball back in those days.
Good baseball, good competition. Bob's a great guy. I mean, phenomenal guy, great coach. And we had some battles during those days. I don't know how many we won, but it was good camaraderie.
Well, I don't remember. Yeah, it was good coming down. I don't remember winning. I remember coming home and it being more of a quiet bus ride, but I'd have to look back and see. But, in all those years in baseball and football, what did you want your teams to be known for? Somebody saw you in the other dugout. Somebody saw you across the field. What did teams expect when they played your teams?
I wanted everyone to know that my players competed. They played the game with dignity and respect, and they didn't disrespect the game,
right,
which means they played with class. They ran in and off the field. We didn't have a lot of penalties. In football, we're going to play hard. We're going to block hard. We're going to do the things we need to do. We wanted to be fundamentally sound. And I thoroughly wanted everybody to know that we truly epitomize the phrase being a student athlete.
Yes, and I think that is lost sometimes, on students that you have to be a student first. And I think that's great. So, in all your years and your different stops and stuff, I know down here and talking to people in Columbus, how many great coaches, how many great athletes there are down here. So I know you probably coached against some great ones. You probably coached some really good ones. But in all those years, what's one of your favorite coaching stories that comes to mind that just kind of makes you smile?
Two in particular.
Mm-hmm. You can tell as many as you want.
2001, beating Columbus High School for the state championship. Our rivals beating them in that second game, the third game of a split, and winning the ball game 2-1, where the score was, I think it was 2-1, and we were ahead in the ball game. And they had a runner on third, and they had a runner at first and third with one out. And normally, we're going to hold the runner on first. So I told my first baseman, Big John Brickman, I said, hey, we're not going to hold him on. Back up. Don't play out. So and he said, sure, coach. I said, yeah, back up. You want to steal? We're going to let him steal. Give it to him with 1 out. And we're leading 2-1 in the bottom of the 7th inning. The batter swings. It's a line drive. The runner takes off the steal. It's a line drive. If John had been holding him on, he wouldn't have been able to make the play.
Maybe ball game with him stealing.
With them stealing, yes. Because it would have been a line drive down the line, and they would have won that ball game 3-2. Because they had a run. But as it happened, John jumped up, snagged it, won the first base, touched it back.
And that was to end it.
In the game.
Man.
State championship.
That's awesome.
State championship. Another one was in the Dome and playing against Cairo in 2000 that same year.
Syrup makers?
Syrup makers. Yeah. And they had a great team, and we had a great team as well. The lowest scoring game in the history of the Dome at that time, because the semifinals were played in the Dome. And then you played the state championship back at the home field. We're playing Cairo. We have an all-state kicker and punter, Chad Spencer. They score a safety on us. They score a safety on us. And that great hand, he dropped the freaking ball. And he turned around and kicked it out of the end zone. So they get a safety. The game went on. It's 2-0. 2-0 their way. We got in position late in the game, about 5 minutes to go in the game, to kick a field goal, to go up 3-2.
3-2. Same baseball score.
3-2.
Yeah.
They hit the punter with his head down. We took the points off the board. And the next play, we scored a touchdown.
That's awesome.
6-2 now.
That literally gives me chills because especially, obviously your defense was good.
6-2. They had a great kicker. So if we had just taken the points, they would have came down and got in field. They got down in field goal range, but it was a little bit far out. So they had to go for it. And they would have kicked it, and they would have beat us, what?
5-3.
5-3.
That's crazy.
And so we went on and win the game. And then, of course, we went on and beat Statesboro in the state championship. So that in itself, winning the state championship in football in the fall, and then coming around and winning the state championship in baseball in the same year, those are two fantastic stories.
That is awesome. And I see that ring, and I don't know if that's one of your championship rings, but it really is the ultimate, just pat on the back for coaching. All the hard work, all the time that you do, to get in is to win a state championship. Not everybody's fortunate enough to do it. And I don't know how many head coaches in the state of Georgia have won a baseball and a football one. Do you know if there's anybody else?
I think it's been 4 or 5.
Oh, really?
I don't think it's anybody. We did it in Quad A. I don't know if anybody did it at that level, but it's a tremendous amount of time that it takes to prepare, going deep into the playoffs in football, and then turning around and starting baseball, and then going deep into the playoffs in baseball, and then you go into spring football, and then you got summer. So it was challenging, but yet rewarding at the same time.
Did you have a lot of two-sport guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
Quite a few of them. And I never really made my baseball players participate in spring football. And in the spring, we did it a little bit different. We very seldom went out in full gear. It was more just a fundamental type thing.
Right.
We didn't want to get anybody hurt during the spring and not have them in the fall.
Right.
So it was those were some very, very good days.
Yeah, busy days, but definitely rewarding. Well, that's awesome. And, and being somebody who's won state championships in 2 sports and obviously had a great coaching career, if a young kid came to you today, maybe a high schooler, maybe somebody at one of the schools you're working with, said, Coach Flowers, I would like to be a head coach one day, what piece of advice would you give them?
Study. Go to coaching clinics, get on seminars, learn from people who built their programs on character and integrity and being fundamentally sound. Making sure that you continue to improve your craft, and set out to make an impact on people. And let that be your foundation, understanding that you got to win in the classroom, you got to win with your family life, you have to be dedicated to it, but not let it consume you so much that it overwhelms you and you don't have that balance in life.
I think that's great, especially talking about family life. I think that's the thing that suffers a lot of times because coaches don't know how to have that balance. And a lot of, we talk about family and letting your family come to things, but they might be there, but it's not always being a part of it, and you're not getting the time with you. So, you talk a lot about character and integrity. Tell me a little bit about what you're doing now.
Right now, my wife and I, we created a nonprofit organization in 2016. It's called This Works Incorporated. But under that, also it's called a Second Chance Works, where we work with the various school systems and parents on the parent engagement program through restorative practices of social emotional learning, adult social emotional learning, as an alternative to suspension. See, anybody can suspend a child, but when you bring the parent in with the child and go through the intervention on that particular incident, then you reduce the number of days that they're suspended, and you also sometimes eliminate it. We created our own curriculum, elementary school, middle school, and high school, and it's called in-school intervention, because we're actually intervening in school rather than just them sitting in there. So they actually go through those modules that coincide with the offense that they have. And we want to let them know that it's easy to punish somebody, but punishment without accountability, it does. And we have great sources with that. We work with schools in Columbus, Albany, Macon. We work with some in DeKalb, Phoenix City, Alabama, several places, and we've had great success with that.
That's phenomenal because, I know in school, the kids that do get suspended often, sometimes they would welcome it. It was a vacation because parents are at work. So I love, like you said, too, sitting in school suspension. A lot of kids that are getting suspended also need academic help. And, putting them in school with a teacher who may not know the English curriculum or the math curriculum, not helping them, then it just becomes, hey, sometimes they were further behind. They'd come back, and then the teachers, and it becomes a very difficult thing and a cycle. So I absolutely love that you're doing that.
And because if you look at it realistically, the students that are getting suspended the most are the ones that need the most academic support.
Absolutely.
And oftentimes, if you suspend them, sometimes that's what they want anyway.
Yes.
So what we're doing, we're talking about accountability, consequences with accountability. So we're still coaching. Mm-hmm. We're just coaching in a different arena. We're coaching parents now. We're coaching students. We're coaching administrators because we have to find a new way. We're losing too many of our students because if they're in school, then we can teach them, but we can't teach an empty seat.
Coach, that is phenomenal. And, I say this often, the great coaches never stop coaching. It doesn't matter what you can retire, from coaching and teaching, but the great ones continue to do it. And that is phenomenal. And everybody told me you've got to get Coach Flowers on there. It's going to be great. But I really do appreciate you taking the time today. There's going to be a lot of young coaches that watch this that are very thankful for the words that you just said. So, Coach, I do appreciate it, sir.
And one final thing before we do.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
About a month and a half ago, I had the privilege of being inducted into the Georgia Athletic Coaches Association Hall of Fame. And the first coach that was inducted for two sports, for football and baseball.
That's awesome.
And to see at least 20-something more of my former players come to that event from Arizona, from Las Vegas, from Texas, from Florida, Georgia, all over the places with my family there. My wife, who's always been there supporting me and everything, all of my children. And she's been my biggest supporter and my biggest critic. That event, culminating that, was really, and that's where you ultimately want to be. But the most important thing is that it impact. And for them to come back, it was powerful because of the impact that I had on them. And I'm hoping that something that I've instilled in them, that they'll continue to do the same things, and understanding that we still have a long way to go. But if they understand, if they keep God first in their life,
yes,
keep God first in their life and treat everybody with dignity and respect, then the sky will be the limit for them.
Well, and again, like you said, just keep paying it forward. Okay, keep God first and live your life in the way that they realize. And I tell young coaches this a lot too. sometimes it takes till year 5, 6, 7, 10 for you to realize the impact that you do make, because those kids that are 18 and just graduating, they don't always just think to pick up the phone and call somebody and say, thank you, coach. It's when they get to be married, or then they start having kids of their own. I've had kids call me and go, coach, I had a kid call me one time from college, and she was crying. I said, what is going on? And she goes, you told me. I said, told you what? She goes, you told me he wasn't going to be as nice when he recruiting. But, then a lot of times you sit there and as a coach, you always go, are they listening? And then years later when you run into them and they tell you things. So I think that's a big thing for young coaches nowadays, because again, they want the results, they want the gratitude, they want everything right then, but sometimes it takes time. So I think that's phenomenal, like you said, that they're coming from all places, and I'm sure you keep in touch with as many players
Yes.
as you can, and it really is one of the most gratifying things about coaching is seeing them. And I know it sounds cliche, but going to the weddings,
Yes.
when they text you when they have their first child,
Mhm.
getting to see those other milestones in their life besides, hey, getting on varsity, graduating,
Mhm.
going to college, that kind of stuff. Still being a part of it is really, really cool. So I think that's amazing.
And planting that seed that we may never see grow.
Yes. And it is. And young coaches too, again, it's growing. If you plant it, it's going to grow all over, and you never know what your impact is. So
Absolutely.
anything else, Coach?
Hey, I enjoy it. It's just a privilege to be able to plant the seed continually and maybe share some information that may be able to help some coach, whether it be a seasoned veteran or a young coach.
Well, Coach, again, a lot of good words, and I appreciate it. There's going to be a lot of people from benefit from listening to this. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for coming down.
Appreciate you, sir.